What's up, friends? Mark Holmes here with
Michael Anthony Fitness.
And as always, I want to thank you guys for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. Do me a favor. Can you do me a favor? You watch all my videos and everything else. You make comments and things. Even you trolls. Help a brother out. Hit the subscribe button. Subscribe up so that way, I can get those numbers up. That's all you need to do. And it helps the channel out tremendously. And while you're at it, make sure you hit up Michael Anthony Fitness too. Okay? I'm sorry. Michael Anthony Reactions.
Or no, it's MAF Reactions.
Yeah, that. But do that. I'm old school. Read between the lines. I'm just old. And see what happens when you get old. If you've noticed, I will sit here and start talking about something and then I'll go off on a whole different tangent. It's because you're old and you start having dementia. And I think that's what's happening to me. Because I keep going through stuff like, somebody come on and it'll remind me of an old song that fits it, and all of a sudden I'll start kind of breaking out and can't sing into stuff like that. It's just what I do. It's just what I do. And you have to understand, I'm becoming that grandfather that's out there that's screaming on the front lawn, get off my grass, and just kind of, it's just like, yeah, just let him be. He's just crazy. But one of the flashbacks, because one of the favorite movies that my dad loved to watch, and it was one of those movies that I used to always watch with my dad, Cool Hand Luke, okay? Robert Redford. And in that movie, they're in the South, and Robert Redford's a prisoner, and they're beating him down. And what the guy says in that movie is, and I've used that clip on my Stream Deck, what we have here is failure to communicate. Some men you just can't reach. You've heard that on the thing, right? Okay, yeah, because literally they push him down in the mud and they hit him with a stick, because he just wouldn't listen. And this is kind of that moment that you sit here with our coaching staff and Stephen Jones. Stephen Jones is evolving. I don't know if have you noticed how he's evolving?
Oh, you mean to Jerry Jones?
Yeah, he's kind
of like son.
Yeah, he's getting more Jerry-esque right now. And right now, you've seen the meme with Spider-Man and he's looking at the other Spider-Man and they're pointing at each other, right? I think this is what we got going on right now with Mike McCarthy and Stephen Jones. Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far. See, it happened again. It happened again. I said yesterday and it reminded me of the Beatles. See, that kind of stuff happens. But yesterday, Mike McCarthy was asked about the defense and saying, because they said, is it the scheme? He's like, scheme? No, man, we're too far down the road for it to be the scheme. And I pointed out yesterday, I said, wait a minute. If the scheme is trash, it doesn't all of a sudden get better with time. It's not a fine wine that gets better with aging, okay? If it stinks from the beginning, it's not going to get better, right? Okay, so he says, it's not the scheme. Players just have to play better. Okay? Enter Stephen Jones pointing at Mike McCarthy and saying, it's not the players. If it's not the players, as Stephen Jones says, right? And if Mike McCarthy says it's not the scheme, so what the hell is it? What is it? You're telling me it's not the scheme. It's not the system that we're using, right? And you're telling me it's not the players because we had players that played well last year. Is my dementia setting in? Am I missing something here?
It's the coaching.
I could honestly say it's both. I could look at that.
It's coaching because Chris Richard had more success with our defense than what we're doing now.
Well, I'm going to put I'm going to give a little bit of benefit of doubt to the coaching staff that made a dumb move. When you looked at how the offense was actually playing well, keeping Kellen Moore and not changing the system because of COVID was actually a wise thing. You saw the offense playing well. On the flip side, and here's the other part for the offense. You had Dak Prescott, who had a football field in his backyard, and he had the players coming to his house. Everybody on the offense was coming to his house working out. So that's where you see CeeDee Lamb, who's in awe of his place. He's running routes with Dak. Dak is telling him, this is what we're running, this is how we do it. So they had practice. Not a game now. We're talking about practice. It happened. See, it happened again. See, that I'm telling you, I get flashbacks of things. It just took me back to Allen Iverson in practice. But they were able to work on that, and that's why they were so far ahead. On the flip side, you decided to change defenses without having, one, the right personnel. And see, a lot of you out there think, oh, well, offensive tackle is an offensive tackle, right? But there's a big difference of playing on the right side versus the left side. Everything's reversed. It's like writing with your right hand versus now, let me write with my left hand. And if you're right-handed, that ain't easy. It looks like shit. It looks like cat scratch. You look like you're a doctor. Excuse me. Just about choked on that. And so when you talk about the defensive linemen and you talk about the defensive schemes, not everybody is suited for both styles. Choking on my Dallas Cowboys defense here. Just talking about it makes you sick. So herein lies the problem. They thought we can teach a new defense online. Virtual reality. They'll get it. They thought that they could take different guys and put them into positions on a different defense. And that is the scheme. So in essence, both of them are wrong. It was changing schemes. And I'm not saying that's the right scheme or the wrong scheme, but it's not the right scheme for the players that you have. You don't have players that are suited. What's that? Your point.
Free agency was a problem.
Well, yeah, you saw.
Alden Smith's the only one that worked out the free agents got this season.
Alden Smith, yeah.
And the defense did get a little bit better after they got rid of him.
We just brought in guys for a cup of coffee and a paycheck.
And then the defense got better.
Literally.
I'm not saying they were good, but they got better when you let them go.
Well, but we're still historical. They did momentarily.
I'm not saying we're good, but
the Achilles heels on this defense is we don't have the thumpers. And and when you look out, make no mistake about this. See, the Cowboys always focus in on the wrong things. Forever, Jerry Jones has loved his wide receivers. He's loved that, the quarterback, the wide receivers, and things like that. And until they focused in on the offensive line, Tony Romo was getting killed. We would play pretty good, but, it came time that we needed to just be able to run the football. We didn't have the offensive line. But they realized we got to protect Tony Romo, and that's when we started focusing on the offensive line. And that made the team a whole lot better. Take a look at the Giants and the Washington football team right now. I know Alex Smith has played well the last couple of weeks, but they're really on the third string quarterback. They had no intention of Alex Smith being on the field. They thought it was going to be Haskins going into Kyle Allen. They have a few good players on offense. Their running back and their wide receivers are getting better, surprisingly. But the thing that is driving the Washington football team is that defensive line. That defensive line is smothering people. That defensive line is making sure teams aren't able to run the football. And that defensive line is causing takeaways, giving your offense more opportunities to score. New York Giants, they get Leonard Williams from the Jets. Leonard Williams, with the Jets and their scheme and all that stuff, wasn't doing much. But Leonard Williams with the Giants, along with the rest of that Giants defense, they've gotten better where they're actually now leading the division. You can't look at their offense and say, oh, Danny Dimes is like Joe Montana. And Colt McCoy certainly isn't even Danny Dimes. But the defense is what is making the difference. And we keep focusing in and saying, let's go get, for last year it was tank for Tua. This year it's tank for Trevor Lawrence, tank for Trevor. It's not where you need to be. It's that defense. It's getting those players to fit whatever scheme it is that we're going to play. And that's all I got to say about that. You got anything to add to that?
You said it all.
He said everything except, Dad, you crazy. That's about the only thing he didn't say. So we'll see where this whole thing goes between the two of them, but I think they're both wrong. It's the players as well as the scheme, or the players aren't fitting the scheme. We'll see what happens, I guess, next year. You think Mike McCarthy has a chance of being fired, or you think they definitely going to bring him back?
He's not being fired.
I think they really need to look at that.
They need to, but knowing Jerry Jones, they'll keep him.
I look at what Washington is doing. Washington did not have anywhere near the talent that we've had. Don't give me this that, we've had so many injuries. They've lost quarterbacks too. Giants, same thing. Giants, you look at the Giants roster and say, man, they ain't got nobody. They lose Barkley. They lose Danny Dimes. But their team is finding ways to win. And they look like they're out there hitting.
They got two.
They look motivated. We look like we show up and say, we're the Cowboys. We're the Dallas Cowboys.
Well,
Give us a victory.
We have a coach that's proven. Ron Rivera's proven.
You got that right.
He's a defensive-minded coach.
Definitely.
The jury's still out on Judge.
And a former military man, so he ain't taking no bull jiggity. All right, I hope you guys are having a great day. It is now the afternoon, and we out picking up materials and things. Seeing the sights, and of course, we are keeping socially distanced, and we spreading the mojo and nothing else. Peace.